a big double header this weekend. How's training been over the last week, and what's been the focus?
It's been good, to be fair. I said it to the boys that I wanted the levels of training to stay where they were at, because I was really pleased before last weekend's game with the the level of training. It's been all right. It's been not very physical at all. Just having chats with George in the physical department. I think it's important with what's to come this month and the amount of games that we taper off the training a little bit. So we've shortened a lot of the sessions and maybe adapted a little bit to the type of stuff that we usually do, just to try and help look after the players, because it can be a busy month.
Obviously, we've had a fair few injuries over the last few weeks. How much of a challenge is it to ensure that you keep players fit when there's games? Obviously, a game tomorrow and Monday, not much time in between. How much of a challenge is that?
I think it's always a challenge, because you try and push players, but at the same time, not every player is the same. There are certain players that you certainly need to look after, and you need to maybe reduce the amount of stuff that they're doing. But then there are also players that need to do more. So it's all very much communicated really well between ourselves and George, and just making sure that we're not forgetting people that maybe need to be looked after, because, like I said, we're getting to the tail end of the season now, and there's some people that have played a lot of games, but like I said, there's players that have been injured and that you always need to keep an eye on, but also not maybe looking after them too much, because they still need to make sure that they're ready to go and in tip-top shape. So communication regarding the fitness of players is always important, and it's been good of late.
Obviously, a fair few players that have been out injured are now coming back. How much of a positive is that heading into such a hectic period of the season?
Yeah, it's important. I said it before, even the last game, that it's a period where you know that the starting lineups or the squads are most certainly going to rotate, whether it be forced upon you through whatever reason, or whether it's just to change things up. So yeah, it's important that everybody's as ready as they can be, that if called upon or if needed, that they're ready to give their all.
Mansfield's first up tomorrow. What sort of challenge lies ahead for us at the county ground?
Well, they're high on confidence after their last result. Obviously, it wasn't great before that, but we can know how quickly things can change in football. When you come off the back of a 4-1 win, you'd like to think that you're confident, and you hopefully have put an end to maybe sort of the poor run of the 4 games that they had before that. But that's something that we're looking to do. We know that we're in a poor run of form as far as results is concerned, albeit there's been a lot of positives that have come out in those games for long spells, actually, in those games. But obviously with the nature of the game, and it's a results business, when you're conceding late goals and giving away leads like we have in the last few games, then obviously the focus needs to turn to making sure that you get the right result, albeit making sure that you try and remind the players that there's been some real good stuff that has come out in those games, and trying to build on that rather than kind of focusing on the negatives that has punished us, whilst obviously trying to address that.
You mentioned as well, in recent games, we've started games well. First half performances have been good, but we've dropped off slightly in the second, and that's potentially what's cost us. How much of a focus has that been over the last week, and how easy is that to remedy?
Well, it's difficult. You can't just change it overnight, and it's something that can easily build up, because although the second half wasn't as good as the first the other day, you'd have to say you've got 3 or 4 opportunities to extend the lead. And ultimately, when you don't do that, it gives the away fans, the away team, a lift, because they've maybe come away unscathed from a possible conceding the second goal. And then the later on the game goes, I think it's only natural for some of our players to maybe get a little bit nervous, and when teams are changing it up and going even more direct than what they're used to going against us, then sometimes if we're not able to get our head on the ball and clear our lines quick enough, and we spend maybe a little bit longer time in and around our defensive third or sort of defensive half, then nerves can kick in. If you don't counter and you don't punish teams that are maybe kicking bodies forward, then you leave yourself open. And obviously, listen, there's no getting away from the fact that it's disappointing from all of us as staff and players that we're conceding late goals and conceding from positions of control as well. I mean, like I said, we wasn't as good in the second half, but looking back over it, we were actually maybe a little bit in more control than you actually think, because obviously when you watch the games back, you turn off all the fans, the away fans, which were the home fans from the opposition the last day. You turn them down, and maybe you come away from the actual feeling of knowing that we've maybe not been great towards the end of games and conceding goals. You actually look at it, and we were in more control than I actually thought on the day. But like I said, when you do concede 2 late goals again like that, when you're 1-0 up and you've had 2 or 3 opportunities to extend that lead and don't do it, then you're always leaving yourself open.
And how much of a test of mental strength is that for your players? As you say, getting to those sort of 70, 80-minute marks in games, will nerves naturally kick in with the results that we've had and the way that other games have gone? How do you sort of counteract that?
Well, I mean, it's difficult because it's the type of stuff that you'd like to do is you'd want to instill a bit of experience on the pitch in people that are used to seeing out games, that have maybe got a couple of 100 games at this level under their belt in certain positions that are kind of pivotal. And also you need an element of luck, but you also need maybe sometimes that the mistakes that have been made or the individual errors that have been made, you'd like to hope that sometimes they don't lead to a goal, which has not been the case of late. But listen, like I said, it's something that we've got to keep reminding the players that you want to keep doing the right things, and we can only address what's gone on. And like I said, if you want to highlight and try and educate and try and coach the players in certain situations where maybe that late in the game, it's better off that you're trying to keep players in front of you, not trying to kind of jump and nick balls that ultimately allows players to get in behind. But there's a couple of things that happened towards the end of the game that we actually primed them on. So, I mean, that's all you can do, and just hope that that information's taken on board. But unfortunately for us, as staff and players of late, all of us included, we've come out on the wrong side of something. But like I said, you can only address it in training. You can only address it with TV and trying to give the players as much information as possible without overloading them.
I know as a manager you set targets for your side, whatever stage of the season you come in, but at the moment, given the run that we're on, is the focus at the moment just getting that elusive win and using that as a platform to drive forward with some really important games coming up?
Yeah, well, I think of late we've been trying to treat it like every game, treat every game as it comes anyway, because they're all individual challenges, and albeit I've said it many a times already this year with the topsy-turvy form that we've been in. There's a lot of people around us that have been doing exactly the same. It's unfortunate for us that opportunities and games where we've certainly been the better team and certainly been on top, we've come away with nothing a lot of the times, and sometimes nowhere near what we deserved. So it'd be nice if we can start maybe punishing teams when we are on top, to make sure that we maybe don't get as maybe nervous and as worried about letting teams back in it. But listen, you've got to address it with the group, with them individually, with them as a team, and also as the squad, because no matter what the starting 11 is, there'll be people that are coming off the bench that need to come on and try and impact the game from a positive manner as well. So just keeping everyone focused and knowing that a good result at the weekend or a good performance could be leading into a decent run, which it'd be nice to see us go on one.
And just finally, support both home and away has been fantastic this season. How much or how important will home advantage play potentially tomorrow afternoon?
Well, I think particularly the last 2 home games have been outstanding from the fans' perspective, and obviously that's even after moments where we've taken a real killer blow late in games, and they've been fantastic. And obviously the numbers that travel to Hartlepool is always great to see these fans that travel, albeit sometimes it can be real difficult to take, knowing that your team's 1-0 up after 87 minutes and then you're leaving the ground with nothing. So we do appreciate that. We don't take it lightly what the those fans go through, what they spend to travel to away games, coming to the county ground at the game tomorrow will be obviously something that I'm hoping that they're looking forward to. But I'm hoping that they're looking forward to it from a way in which they're going to support us like they have done the last couple of games, because the players and myself and staff included have certainly felt their support in the last couple of games. It's been that's hence why I've mentioned it both times that we've been at home recently, because I think the support's been outstanding.
All the best tomorrow.
Cheers, pal.